What's up, everybody? This is Eric Holmes, and I want to welcome you to Inspyard Cigar Stems, the podcast. Today's segment is called I'm Better Now. This segment, we're talking about mental health awareness. We're talking about our personal experiences with mental health issues, from depression, anxiety, to emotional stability, and so much more. So, guys, thank you for watching this. I hope that this video brings you hope that this podcast brings you a lot of value. And if you're dealing with any type of situation that's causing you to go through these things, I hope that this podcast here helps you out a lot. So guys, thank you for watching. Let's start the show.
Georgia. Cigar stems. Stay inspired.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I'm that hard. I put on my jacks, I'm slinging bullets, call me breath off. I put down a rap and got some racks and now I'm so far. I've been trying to level, but I think I got a cold heart. I know that you snitching on your bros, you boys some co-ops. Y'all can have that looking at each other, I'm a hoe hot. So baby, show your cleavage and call me when you need it. Don't say if you don't mean it, this could be our little secret. Come on. Now watch me bounce with that 40. I can tell by how she text that she ain't for me. I get this money on my lonely. Told that hoe don't call me back if she ain't horny. Now watch me bounce with that 40. I can tell by how she text that she ain't for me. I get this money on my lonely. Tell that hoe she better not call her, she ain't. 5'6", but I'm in this bitch like I'm 6'5". I don't know about you, but little daddy, I'ma get mine. I ain't number 2. If you think, then you in the way. We did 8.
All right, y'all. We are back for another episode, and this is one that a lot of people have been waiting for, especially me, and I know Aisha been waiting. This is going to be hopefully not as emotional, but we're gonna try. So this is I'm Better Now, and yeah, we're gonna be talking about a lot of personal experiences and then solutions. So anybody want to lead us off?
All right, y'all. We're talking about mental health,
Right.
how we got through. So I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody because I know I got my own stories of battling with mental illness and how I got through. But I definitely think it's something that in our community needs to be accepted. It needs to be understood that because we are a people who have been raised in trauma. Just being a black person alone, we've been raised in trauma. Certain situations have been put on us before we had any idea about it. So we definitely have to find positive ways to deal with it. So I'm excited to hear from everybody today.
I would say too that we're here to also bring awareness that seeking counseling and help is not a weird thing. Right. It should be just as common as you going to the store, or you having a checkup when you do your yearly, or you going for your 6-month cleanings for the dentist. We all have things that have been built up inside of us. You would be surprised how much better you could actually be if we start to seek help and not frown upon it. Because in our culture, we are made to feel that's something we shouldn't do.
So, all right. So here we go. So I actually have my first in a very long time. So I had a recent mental breakdown, like maybe 2 months ago.
Wow.
And it came out of nowhere, this built up stress and anxiety and trying to control a lot of stuff you can't control, and a lot of stuff happening that you can't just yeah. So and then this happened actually on Valentine's Day. So why that day? But yeah. So I was at the house chilling, doing my normal. Couldn't sleep. So I already knew I had anxiety. Started getting headaches, and then probably about I would say like maybe about 10 o'clock that morning, I'm walking in the house and I just broke down. I'm talking about everything was weak, crying, head hurting, and it all really has a lot to do with a lot of built up stuff that I just couldn't control, and a lot of things are different now since like post COVID, dealing with the job situations and dealing with other people, and then you can't really control other people the way how they feel about you. So in a sense, you try to, I guess it's a controlling thing, I would say. But at the same time, like the way how you want things, it's just not happening. So nothing is happening the way that it needs to, or the way that you feel like it needs to. And when you got pressure on top of pressure, job, relationships, financial stuff, or just stuff,
life.
Just life. Period. It's like having a headlock. So what was crazy though about the whole experience though, I still end up on the balance out there. I still end up doing something for somebody. I had to take myself out of the equation and tell myself right now, I know you're going through things, but at the same time, I felt like it still wasn't about me. I don't know why. That never happened, because I always made everything about me when I have problems. So I push everybody away. That was my thing. But this time around, I started bringing people closer. And that was very weird to me. Like, very. So I was like, and I didn't understand it. I don't know what I was searching for.
Did it help?
Did it help?
Or were you still masking? Because even though you're bringing people in and you want to be surrounded by this love, you're still on the inside going through.
No, it really didn't help, because like once somebody was around you, then you felt okay, and then as soon as they go, it's right back to trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like how a dog get like separation anxiety.
Yep.
And that's the worst. And it feels like nobody's around, everybody's gone. Angie's on 14 days. Different story.
She's better now, though.
You know what I mean? So like, and then like everybody has their own relationships. Most of my friends are married, so it's not like it's a whole lot they can actually do and like try to spend time with you. So it's like, yeah, Trina has been there. Yes, yes, Trina has been there. She's always been there when I need her, even when it's very unexpected. She'll pop up and just make sure you're good. So I really appreciate that, Trina, a lot.
Yeah, I was on my 14 days.
Yeah, you was on 14 days.
You know, I'd have been like,
So between that, like, and then also trying to have like the mental, and then like trying to have the mental capacity to host a cigar and wine pairing at the same time. So, and that event was well. If y'all didn't go, y'all should have went.
It was
I was there.
You was there.
I was sick, but I was orchestrating stuff from the bed.
Right.
Yep.
and she was stressed
But
out
see,
my
here's the
14
thing:
days.
when we get to that point and we've reached our boiling point, and everything is so, oh my goodness, I'm breaking on the inside. Why do you guys think that we feel like, okay, I'm just gonna keep working, I'm gonna keep having my friends around? Because you know what I'm saying. What do you feel makes us do that? I mean, I can answer that for myself.
I can say it's because of what our race has been through.
Right.
There you go. It's stuck
Right.
with that.
So
And that's what I was gonna say.
We're taught at an early age you don't show weakness.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like when I'm talking about mental health, you know,
For guys, it's taught that way. Like we're not supposed to show like that
emotion.
Well,
It's women as well.
Young women too.
Because we're taught, you know, hey, yes, that happened, but you got to deal with it, baby.
you
got
got to
push
bend,
it.
don't break.
And when you have gone through that, because that was me.
But you want to hear this right here? That's a little cuddling. They tell us, boy, get your ass on out there and do what you need to do.
Yep.
That's
It ain't no, you know what I'm saying?
But that's what I've been taught.
That's
Still
what we've
keep
all
pushing
been
no matter
taught,
what.
though. Male, female. That's what we've all been told. You as a man, shut up, deal with it, suck it up. It ain't that bad. You as a woman, baby, you know you got to handle everything. Baby, it's not that bad. Go home and do what you got to do.
So this is what I've been, of course, advocating. Take a knee. You don't have to live in that place where you feel like it's hurting you or it's pressure on you. But you need to take a moment and look around and see what is it that is holding me down. Can I let it go? Can I afford to let it go? We got to start listing all the things that we have going on. Because some of the stuff we take on, we shouldn't either. So we also got to own that we take and create our own stress and our own pressure.
Right.
Because we, like you said, we are told you gotta go get it. You can't
You
stop.
have to deal with it.
But you
Bend,
have to,
don't break.
Right.
you have to understand that there's a limit. When you get on an elevator, it tells you that there is a limit. You overload that, guess what?
But do you know where I realized that there was a limit? When I was sitting in the intake office of a mental hospital. and I'm telling them, yo, I'm about to kill myself. I'm tired. I done been beaten. I've been raped. I've been through this. I've been through that. And I'm tired of carrying that. And that's when I was like, oh, ma'am, you got some stuff you need to deal with. But this was 20 years later, 15 years later.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Before I even dealt with, I carried that because they said, okay, you have children. You can't break.
That's that suck it up thing.
Right.
You're the head of the household. You can't break. You're a black woman, baby. You can't break. You gotta suck it up and keep going. And I know that to black men, y'all hear the same. You're a man. Suck it up and keep going.
They do have it harder than us because of course we often have this thing that of course the man is said to be the head of household. Mm-hmm. He is the protector.
He can't show any weakness.
But nobody understands that we're all human.
Right.
Why can't we just fall in that category? Yep. It's not a gender situation. It is a humane situation. That we got to make sure that we take care of us. And when you said you was making mention of you was about to break, this is another new thing. Okay, just because I'm working on me, I'm by far nowhere near perfect, but I can't tell someone to do something that I don't advocate for. In order for us to not break, we have to take a break.
Ooh, amen. That part.
And be okay with taking a break. Shut your phone off. I'm not doing that for you. I can right now. But is it good for me to do it? When stores close, they don't give a damn if you need tissue. You better go find somebody else to get your tissue. Right. We open back up tomorrow. My hours are from 9 to 5. Yep. We have to make sure we take those breaks that we need to self-clean, self-cleanse, be spiritually in tune, make sure we're doing everything that keeps us centered. Then that's when you make your list. Oh, I signed up for this. Why the hell I did that? I don't need.
But that's self-evaluation. So, what would you say for a man? What is your breaking point when you realize, okay, mentally it's too much. I am going into overload. As a black man, how do you recognize that, and how do you respond to that?
The response is to prioritize what's going on. Whether it be the wife, the children, work, you have to prioritize where it falls in your mental state. Because some things it can be put on the shelf, and some things they do need immediate attention. I can imagine when Eric went through, was that kind of what you did? You kind of began to prioritize, this is what I need to do now, and I can put the rest on the back burner later. That response that you get from us, it comes from a place of problem solving that we're taught innately.
Okay, so when is it just okay for you to break down?
I'm gonna tell you,
always okay.
When you figure it out, when you sit there laying in that bed at nighttime, and you just start crying for no reason.
Yep.
You trying to figure out what's going on with you.
But see, for us,
you're crying for a reason.
Yeah.
But see, for us, we'll get to the boiling point and we'll be in the bed. And for me, I've been at my boiling point. I've been crying in the bed. I done dropped the children off. Have a good day, and just break down and start crying and not understanding why. Like I said, it took me a very long time to get to the point, yo, you need mental help. You are dealing with some things, and you carrying some things that you can't deal with by yourself.
But I think that honestly, when we break down and we cry, when we just sitting there by ourselves, because we're talking so much, we don't really listen.
Yeah.
And then when we're quiet, that's when God is really talking to us and saying, you know what, you've been holding on so strong. You've been trying to, deal with everything. Break down, cry, let it off of you. You got to, because if you don't, you'll continue to keep stressing yourself out over and over and over again. And I think that's just God's way of just telling us, you know what, I hear you crying in silence, but when are you going to cry out loud to get this out of you?
What she's saying goes hand in hand with Darius' mission of when you prioritize what it is that you're going through, or what you have, and necessarily that you're going through, what you have going on in your life. Once you prioritize that stuff, you got to find value into what it is that's on this list. Like you said, whether it's you, your spouse, your kids, your job, everything else, you got to see what is your mental level right now. If you can't deal with it, if it's something that's like taking over you and you feel like you're over, exasperating yourself. Finish that one out.
I'll tell you this, real. We touched on the topic a little bit earlier, like where does it come from? And we said that's how we talk. I had a breakdown a little while ago, it's my mom, talking to mom about it. And first thing she starts doing is talking about the negative. Well, I told you not to do this, I told you not to do that. And you know, I had to let her know, like, look, I need to hear from you right now.
Right.
You know, so I'm coming to you because I need a positive influence because I'm breaking.
Okay, so
I need
why
to
not
snap.
go to therapy?
Because you got to think about this right here. Most of y'all know, guess who the only person I ever had my whole life?
Your mom.
So guess who my therapist is?
Your mom.
Okay.
And I was gonna say too, with that, we have to make sure too that we start saying this when we're coming to them, because you know they are still dealing with their own stuff that they would never tell us about.
Amen.
Because they were here on this earth when things were way different.
Right.
When things were actually in action and things are what we hear is two different things.
Yeah.
Like, we've heard what happened in the past. They lived it.
Right.
So we have to tell them, hey, look, Ma, I need you to listen to me. I don't need you to respond right now.
Right.
I just need you to listen. And us as human beings, that is something that we have to learn too. Not to listen, to understand, not listen to respond. And a lot of us can help each other too, versus saying, it was me. I remember when, hey, I ain't calling you for that. I just need to talk about
And I think as parents, as black parents, because all of us are parents on this podcast, we need to learn how to break that generational curse.
I broke it with mine.
Well, Eric, I'm sorry.
I absolutely
We need to learn how to break that generational curse with our kids, to let them know that it's okay that that old myth that whatever happens at home stays at home.
No.
Yes.
But see, that's what I did with my
No.
children. I got them in therapy because I was able to recognize that it was something that was going on. And it was something that I myself and my husband could not handle. So I got them in therapy. And the whole time I had them in therapy to deal with things, I'm still walking around like Superwoman. I'm good. I don't need to talk to nobody. And then when I tell y'all, when I broke, it was literally everything that I had been holding on to me was sitting on my back. And she said, I don't even know how you carrying all of that. She said, I'd probably want to kill myself too if I had to carry that. I said, well, you got to understand, I'm not from an era of being able to talk about my problems, because anytime I began to talk about them, even though I'm an only child, even though I was molested as a child, even though I went through a lot of trauma as a child, I was still told, you deal with it, but you gonna be all right. You just do what you gotta do. So I'm not thinking I need to talk to nobody and get no help. I'm not thinking after being in a severely abusive marriage that I need to talk to somebody and get some help. I'm thinking I'm good. I can deal with it. But when I got to that point and it was everything looking me in my face and I couldn't deal with it, the only option that I thought that I had was suicide. That's the only way I could see myself out of it.
So y'all tell me this: do you ever feel like prayer is not enough?
I do.
I'll say this.
I did.
For me, I'm a big believer in faith and prayer. So I guess I'll go into my spiel. And you heard Eric say 14 days. So 2 months ago, I called the police at my home. And there were some kids fighting in my neighborhood. Didn't know what was going on, but I knew I wasn't going to tolerate it. So I called the police, of course. And I live in a city called Perry. Gave them my name because they wanted my name for the police report. And to my surprise, they told me that there was a warrant out for my arrest. And I was looking at them like, what are you talking about? And then he said that the officer told me that he could not see what the arrest was for or what the case was. He couldn't tell me. He called Gwinnett County. He tried to figure it out. Called the warrants department to see if he could not hold me because he was like, you can't even see the case. It was a misdemeanor. Whatever it was, it's gone at this point. So lo and behold, I was taken into custody, and I was arrested in front of my son. And it was really, really hard. First person I called Nakima. I told him what was going on. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think after that, I called Eric, and then I called Trina. And I told them, look, I'm about to be arrested. I asked Nakima, first thing I said is, just come get my son, you know. I was so humiliated. I was embarrassed. The officer didn't even want to arrest me. He literally was like, usually I would just let this go and tell you to go figure it out. I asked Nakima to come get my son, and I think he came and got my son and took my son to my parents' house. And from there, life really got rough. I sat in jail for 3 days in my county. Mind you, the jail is like not even a mile up the road from my house. So I sat there for 3 days. I think the third day is when I got transferred. And I sat in holding, and I'm bougie. So I sat in holding for 3 more days. No shower, no nothing. I've never been in jail. This is not something I'm used to. Nobody could tell me nothing. And on the third day, I got processed in. When I got processed in, that's when shit got real. And I sat in jail for 14 days on a failure to appear for a case that had been thrown out 3 years prior to you.
Wow.
Had to retain an attorney. And when I got into general population is when my problems really started. I got into general population. Wasn't supposed to be put in general population because they do not put anybody in general population unless you are a felon. I didn't have a felony, and like I said, it was a misdemeanor, and it was from 3 years ago. Case was dropped and everything. I sat with people who had killed people and was willingly admitting that they had done this. I sat in jail with a girl who I had just saw on the news that they starved their child. She died from suffocation and eating her own feces. By the time the police found her, she was 4 years old, but she looked like a 3-month-old baby. I was sitting in prison, in jail with these type of people, and all I could do is pray. That's all I could do. I think I prayed every day. I got to the point where I was depressed, and that's something I don't get. I was so depressed that I wasn't eating. I was only eating like fruit, maybe here and there, maybe every once a day I was eating. I drank nothing but water. I kept to myself because that's the first thing people told me. Keep to yourself. Don't talk to nobody. Keep your head down. Go back. I stayed in my cell for the most part of the day. I did not want to go out in population when rec time came or anything like that. But back to what Darius was saying, I think prayer changes things. And I've always been taught to pray without ceasing. And I'm a firm believer that no matter what you're going through, fall down on your knees and pray. Fall down on your knees and pray.
I hear that, but y'all know, I grew up differently. So you have to understand, I grew up with the perception that God wasn't going to hear my prayers. Because everybody was telling me what I wasn't. You know, I wasn't in church every Sunday. My family wasn't the type that spent all week and Sunday in church. You understand what I'm saying? I grew up with people who was doing things that wasn't of the church, but even they were still in the church, right? So prayer was never my first option. Because I was like, yo, I know God knows who I am, but because he knows who I am, he ain't gonna answer my prayer right now.
So when did you become to the point where you knew who God was, though?
Because I grew up in a black family.
Right.
So whether we were in church all the time or not, I still had an auntie who could quote the Bible from front to back.
But I think she was saying when did you?
When did I know for me?
Yeah. When did you become? And the reason why I'm asking this before you start.
I knew for me
before you start. The reason why I asked that is because, like Darius said, do you believe in prayer? When you come into the knowledge of who God truly is, it doesn't matter what you're taught. It don't matter how you taught it. It don't matter when it comes. You have this, and Shannon can relate to this. You have this such a interpersonal relationship with God that prayer is deeper than prayer.
Like you made mention,
it's deeper than prayer.
You made
I talked
mention
to
to
him
me. That's
normal.
what I was going to say. You
Yeah.
made mention behind the scenes that was one thing. You have a relationship with him, and you talk to him like.
I talk to him the same way I talk to you all because I know he knows me. But that didn't come until I was
That's why I was asking. That was my.
That didn't come
Yeah,
until
when
I had
did you
started
come
to get
that?
counseling, and I realized, you know, you have to understand, as a child, because my mother was in the army, and I spent the beginning of my life overseas. When I came back home to my family, oh, you trying to be white? So I had to do everything to fit in with my family. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
Because they felt like I was trying to be, no, because I speak a different language? No. Because I lived out of the country? No. But this is what I dealt with. So I'm coming up, it wasn't until I was able to shatter everything that people were telling me that I was not, and I realized who God said that I was, that I could believe that prayer worked for me. But you have a lot of people who are in my shoes that believe that God don't hear their prayers because of where they at.
That's true.
And that's an issue. But when it comes to healing, I had to take the step of going into, and y'all, I had to literally, listen, I'm about to kill myself. This is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna do it. And I got 1013, and I was held in the hospital.
I think we all have those times.
Oh no, I'm serious.
Where we feel like, okay, well, if God never meant any ill will or didn't want us to have any kind of trauma or bag of life, then why are we being placed here in my current situation? Because God don't want you going through this, but sometimes we have to go through that for God to take us elsewhere.
Go through to get to.
Right. Sheena, can I build on that, Trina, for a second?
Yeah.
So at 21, I remember getting off work and having to rush home because I wanted to make it to a softball trip with my mother. I didn't make it. I got off late that morning. They were already gone before I got there. That 3 days later, she and I went fishing, and that's what we did. Just kind of like we celebrated my birthday out in the water, talking, laughing, not knowing the very next day she would be taken from me.
Wow.
Yeah, I was 4 days after my 21st birthday, and I wasn't angry with God, but I was.
You question?
I needed to step back.
Yeah.
I was a Christianity major. So I needed, just like you just said, like, you try not to be angry, but I isolated myself for weeks. I would go to hotels and I would not hide from my family. I knew I needed that time.
Right.
Also dealing with the onset of a loved one attempting suicide. And here comes the announcement of the birth of my first child. Well, she was pregnant at the time, and so at that moment, I had to come to grips with myself. I couldn't call or interact with anyone else because everything that came out of my mouth, like I've never been one that's gravitated towards alcohol or drugs or things of that nature, but I surrounded myself with females. That was my drug. That was my...
Your temporary max.
Right, my drug.
Hey, I went
At one point, my drug was violence.
Wow.
At one point, my drug was violence. Yo, if you need a window broke, I got you. You need me to smash somebody's face, I got you.
That's how I was back home in Savannah. So like, I had a whole different lifestyle.
I know you told me.
Nah, like, cause
Savannah is different.
It is.
Well, back then it's different now, but back then, like, the way we grew up was, so like, mom didn't know anything because we kept everything away from her. Cause she was like, holy, and like we didn't.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, you wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but like, I had a lot of suicidal thoughts. I had it a few times when I sat in my grandma's room and I had a butcher knife. I just poked myself in the room, just constantly, like, bro. All right. So back when growing up, there, it's kind of like everybody kind of like do the same thing. And then when you feel like you're supposed to be doing something else and you're still in that same little circle, it's like, bro, this can't be it. Or I feel trapped. Like everything there felt like a trap. So, yeah, so mom knows, so she watches podcasts, obviously she won't know now. But,
sorry, mom.
Yeah.
I'm better now.
I'm
better now.
But then yeah, it was crazy. So we used to do a lot of stuff like, man, we was breaking cars all day long. I used to rob shit. And I knew, and that's my mind's so technical now, and that comes from back home because I knew like wiring, like if I look at like the whole display, I knew wires, I knew what to cut, what not to cut, how much time, like that's how it was like movie type stuff.
Right.
So I was that guy.
And that's amazing because just looking at you would never think
that.
Right.
You would never think that.
Yo, like that was me. I was the same way. I was the type, play sports, like, I mean, accolades, newspaper articles, all of that. But to turn around and meet you up the street, you understand what I'm saying, and jump in your car and take everything you
I
got.
been trying to start my own game.
You understand
Oh,
what I'm
wow.
saying?
So
No,
that
So with all of that, at what point did your life start to shift? Like, what did you do? Because we have a lot of people that probably
I
don't
faked
look
it until I made it. You have to understand, I was always the type, I was consulting. I was, hey, it's gonna be all right. You gonna get through this. But for me, I was like, yo, well, God already knew how my life was gonna turn out. It is what it is. You feel me? But as long as these 4 children of mine is straight, when I go, I don't give a damn. I'll blow this world up if they gonna be straight. But it took literally, this has only been a couple of years where I said, I got a problem. I'm not living, I'm surviving. And I'm really dying every day. I need to get help. That's only been a couple years for me. For me, I've been fighting against everything from the time I was a little girl because I didn't know no better. Like my answer, like I said, it used to be violence. It was dating dudes. You understand what I'm saying? It was gang life. I was big. I'm talking about I was big gang life. I'm the person. Hey yo, check this out. Don't even move yet. I'm gonna tell you when, like, because they respected me. And then when I blew up and I got angry and I tore something down, they wouldn't say nothing to me. They wouldn't tell me I wasn't good enough. They wouldn't tell me I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, I couldn't do that. They was just like, what you want me to do next? But when we gonna move? When I tell you to move?
I know, that, you know, Darius talked about what he did to cope with this stuff. We all have our different vices that we use, right? In that state, right? So growing up, we talked earlier, you know, I told you I grew up with grandma home until I was 12. You know, we was very poor, so farm. My grandma was a cutthroat individual. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't standing to tell you I love you, I ain't standing to color you, get your ass out there and do this, you don't do it, get your ass. You know what I mean? So I took a beating every day, twice on Sundays when my other folks came, but she never whooped anybody else, never could understand. Never made anybody else do things she made me do.
Wow.
So you know what, guess what I started thinking? She doesn't love me. She don't like me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but then, you know, I had my mom who loved me to death, but you know what I'm saying, I still couldn't get to my grandma didn't love me. So as I got older, guess what I started doing? Started doing a lot of women for that love. I wasn't getting my grandma the validation, but guess what I could never do with them? I could never love them back because
you didn't know how.
I thought, hey, you thugging out, do what you do, keep pushing. You know, so I never came to a recollection of that. I always wondered, why can't I ever just settle down and commit to somebody? Why can't I commit to somebody? And then when I finally started thinking about it, then I also had daddy issues. Because, you know, he didn't come around.
Right.
And, you know, I asked my mom when I was 16 why my dad don't love me. You know, what did I ever do wrong? Yeah. So I had all that going through my mind. So, you know, let me get all these women showing me love, they doing all these things for me. And finally, I had to sit back and think one day, like, dude, refocus on yourself, relearn yourself, and figure this shit out. Why is it going the way that it's going?
Right.
And I think that's just to pick about what you're saying. I think now, at the age of 37, I'm learning to love myself.
And you know the bad thing about me?
Because I always try to figure out who I am. I was raised with two parents, but my dad, he didn't set the tone for how a man is supposed to treat you. So I went through out of toxic relationships to figure out this ain't love. This ain't what you're supposed to deal with. But now that I'm newly finna get divorced, now I'm learning to learn myself and say, Sheena, the things that you went through, that's not love. You don't have to be with this dude, that dude, that dude. Just know that this is love. It's not. Because what you're doing, you're temporarily putting a mask over yourself. And it's not. Right. And then once you get up, you're going back to the same thing.
Yep.
So it's not that. So I'm having to learn to say, Sheena, don't do this. Don't do that. Because you only hurting yourself. Ain't nobody else gonna help you but yourself. And that's why I teach my son. Don't depend on nobody else. Do what you need to do for yourself. Be able to stand on your own 2 feet. Because once I'm gone, your grandparents are gone. You got nobody else but yourself. Right. And the better gratification that you ever get out of life is learning how to deal with things by yourself. Because once we're gone, it's nothing that you can do.
And the sad thing is, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was thinking the sad thing is, just innately, we all want to belong somewhere. So we always have that outward reach for love, attention, validation from elsewhere. And of course, I told you when I went through mine, that's what I kind of went through. Same thing with Keith. But once I flipped and I got back to my rooting in my church and working in my church and my quiet time with Christ, I remember I dated a chick, man, drop dead gorgeous. Light skin, hazel eyes, body like on 10. And I sat down and I told her that I'm not going to be having sex until I get married. And this woman looked me dead in my eyes, and she said, well, maybe God sees that you're in a good relationship and he won't mind. I knew right there. I told her that you are not my wife. I knew it. Wow. When I met her mother was like, oh, let me get it. I probably would not marry your daughter. She said, how could you say that? I said, I just know.
But see, you had that to fall back on.
Yeah.
You had that to fall back on. You gotta understand there are some of us that have had to lay that road out ourselves.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to my children, I can remember being utterly broken, but laying that road for my babies, like you gotta talk to somebody. You're amazing. You're this. You're that. You have to understand. I'm just recent in my dealing with my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm 40 and I'm just recent.
And to be honest with you, to piggyback on what you're saying, age doesn't dictate when you start. Because guess what? I didn't break down until I was 40.
Right.
Off of a bad breakup, and you know, 2 people in here know about that situation. You know, a lot of people seen it, but they didn't really know how hurt I was on the
But
inside.
see, even after an abusive marriage, I played like I was okay. I was married. I didn't know that you could be raped, that your husband could rape you, because my thing is, that's your husband.
That's deep.
And when I learned that sent me into a complete, what you mean? That's my husband and that's rape? So I had a lot of anger. I carried around a whole
But you know, you
lot
got that
of
from
anger.
her.
Because I'm the only child and they told me to hold it.
But
They
no,
told me to
you
deal
got
with
that
it.
part about your husband can't rape you from how we was brought up.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right. Because we were legally married.
And
He
a lot
wasn't
of
somebody I
things-
was sleeping with. We was legally married. He's the father of my children. So essentially, what he wants, he can get. Right?
Yeah, in our mind, in that old set mind, that's why it's a mental thing with us. We don't understand that because it's always what we saw. Think about how many times you see, like, we ain't gonna say slavery, back to segregation. Like, okay, the wife don't work, the husband take care of the household. So the husband supposed to have whatever he want when he want it. And if you don't
But see,
give it
that's
to him, he can
ownership.
take it. It's an ownership
Shit.
thing.
But see,
Yeah.
I
So
didn't
that's why
see
we
that
gotta
either.
tell
My
them now.
father had a career and my mother was in the army. So I'm looking at her getting up, loading her M16 in the car. And I'm looking at my daddy loading his 98 and all his stuff. And I'm like, oh, y'all just gonna go around blowing stuff up? Cool, I'm here to blow stuff up.
Do you feel like, and this is just, do you feel like them and their success in their life and where they were took them away from you to actually nurture you and kind of be there for you?
What took them away from me was everything that everybody else did. I grew up and my parents, like they were functioning addicts, right? And I didn't know that was normal.
Yeah.
I'm thinking everybody grew up with their parents doing drugs. I'm thinking everybody grew up with everybody coming to the crib to get drugs. You know what I'm saying? Because they both held a job down. Like I said, my mom was in the army. But I thought that was normal. But you have to understand, as a little girl growing up in that, everything that comes with your parents being on drugs, I'm thinking it's normal. Okay? I'm thinking it's normal to wake up and it's people in my house doing what they doing. I thought that was normal. So I didn't feel like their jobs took them away from me. It wasn't until I got older, after so many times of them telling me whatever story they made up, and I'm knowing the truth now.
So
That's what took them away from me.
So pretty much, like I said, I didn't even realize that until just now with asking the question. What I feel, and I could be wrong, is that a lot of things, or your trauma definitely is coming from present but absent parents.
Facts. Because you have to understand, I'm the only child. So a lot of stuff I had to raise myself. It's a lot of stuff that I went through as a child that shouldn't nobody go through.
Because I've had people tell me, of course, like, Trina, you don't understand this because you were raised, you came up in a 2-parent household. And I said, how do you know that?
Right.
How do you
gotta
feel?
go through.
Trauma has no geographic circle.
Right. Yeah.
I did not. My mom and dad was divorced when I was 3. What happened was just the opposite. They was absent from each other, but they were present to me.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you can have parents, and we always be saying, I want my kids to be raised in a 2-parent household. I don't want to be raised in a 2-parent household unless you parenting to me.
I wanted to raise my children in
There
a
you
2-parent
go.
household until I realized I wanted to be a different type of mother to my children.
That's it.
Right.
Being a mother. That is when we're going. That part. Me and my ex-husband, we're not together. We were married for 10 years. I will successfully say this: husband,
Horrible.
dad,
Father.
because that's where we need to understand and stop trying to put everything in one basket. Just because he's a male and he was your husband, or that doesn't mean that he could be a terrible father. When we say, hey, I can't let this man see his child. Or even for females, of course, when I don't want to do for this child because I can't be with the dad.
Mm-hmm.
Those are like so many different things going on. Separate it. We trying to double stack everything. If we separate separate and see things for what they are and stop thinking we have to look through rose-colored glasses. Identify with it. If the shit wrong, call it wrong. If you want to deal with it, deal with it. If not, shit, go ahead on.
Right.
I'll touch on something, because something you just said. So I remember about several years ago, I returned back to Georgia. Had went through a really bad divorce. First person I called, everybody knows who I called. First person I called, when I got back to Georgia. How dare you?
That's called
And I
on
said,
that one.
oh my God, I'm going through a divorce. And it was a rough experience, but I'm going to say something. So, I was adopted at 2 weeks old. Never knew my mother and father. My mom and dad, who raised me, that's my mom and dad. I come from a very different background, and I thank God for my background. My parents have been married 55 years. I don't know struggle because they never let me struggle, and that was a downfall for me. They always caught me. Anything happened, they caught me. Anything I went wrong with me, they caught me. And at about 13, I went to Fort Benning. I lived with my brother, and my brother didn't catch me. He let me fall. He let me hit my head. He let me bump my head a couple times. He knocked me upside the head. We went toe to toe a couple times. My brother was really rough on me. He was in the army. But to negate back to what I was saying about my divorce, I had a hard time letting go. I think Darius remember this. I did not want to let go of my marriage because I felt like, okay, my mom's a minister, my dad's a deacon, that the church, and I was really well known in the church. I have a very big following and backing in our church. Everybody was going to look at me crazy because I was getting a divorce. People were going to say what they were going to say. Absolutely. And then I had a conversation with Darius, and Darius said, you got to let it go because it was toxic. It was not healthy. Mm-hmm. So 3 days ago, I had a moment about my son. My son was struggling on some things. I had to go sit at school and embarrass him a couple times. Go sit in front of teachers and have a teacher conference. And there's some things we needed to work on. And one of the biggest things I had a problem with is because my son is now 16. He's 6'1". He's about 220 solid. I'm 5'3" barely. And he tries to nuck if you buck,
And I'm gonna buck if you nuck.
And I'm
gonna buck if you. I don't care what I'm going through. I could be in the middle of a mental breakdown. I'm so sorry, but if you nuck, if you buck, I'm gonna buck if you nuck, and I dare you to cross that line. Cross that line. I dare you to cross that line. Cross it.
So I had
cross it. I've been through a 4-top cross it.
So we done had our moment where he was smelling himself, but what I'm trying to get to is that I called his dad, and I'm gonna say what I gotta say. So I called his dad, and I'm like, there's a problem here. And one of my biggest things, I have broken down to Nakima about this. I felt like as a mother of a black young man. And I told Eric this, I feel like I'm not doing enough. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I having so many
But
problems?
as mothers, we will do that.
And then I got to the point where I had to say, because Nakima and I had a conversation. Nakima was like, well, you're doing what you're supposed to do, but I feel like that's not enough. So I went to his dad and I said, hey, look, listen, why has it been that we've been divorced 13 years almost? Mm-hmm. You have seen him probably about 4 times in 16 years. You have not come to... I sent him out there when he was 12 to go live, and my thing was, he getting ready to be a young man. He need to live with you. You need to bring him up to be the man that he needs to be. You need to set the tone. And he, unfortunately, that didn't work. I think I called Darius then, and he said, hey, I'm putting him on a plane. He's interrupting my marriage. I don't want him here. La, 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 la. And that shattered me to pieces. So I said, okay, cool. If he comes back, understand this. I ain't sending him back no more. We done. We ain't doing the switcheroo. I ain't gonna keep flying him because he lives in Alaska. So we're not finna keep doing this. He'll stay with me. I'll take him all the way. And so I called him a couple days ago and I said, you know what? And I don't cry. And I knew I had hit that plateau because tears were running down my face. Mm-hmm. And I said, he needs you. Mm. He needs you. Mm-hmm. He got your first, last, middle name. My granddaddy always taught me it's not about your first name, it's about your last. Your last is what it holds to. I'm not a Barlow anymore. I divorced you. He's a Barlow. What does that mean to be a Barlow? I don't know. So it got to the point where he started talking.
He don't know what it means.
He started talking to me about all this stuff that he was going through with his dad. So I picked up the phone and called the granddaddy. And then I heard the same stuff from the granddaddy.
So
and oh my God.
Right.
It came to that part where I said, well, you know
see,
what? I told the granddaddy, I said, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I said, we got this. My mama said, hang up that phone. We got this.
But you have to
Don't worry about it.
things like this is new because we are from a people of this is how this family operates and it goes forward.
Everything was an excuse. I'm hearing it from my ex-husband. I'm hearing it from the granddaddy.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, so we gotta go break the cycle.
They're not because they don't feel a need to.
So,
you have some people.
So my thing is, I'm at a point now where, with raising my child, and I told Trina this the other night, I said, it's the village. Mm-hmm. It's my circle.
Big facts.
You know, I call Eric damn near every week. Yeah. Like, hey, pick up the phone, can you talk to him? I call Nakima. And Nakima will tighten him up. So, but at the end of the day, I think I'm saying to like mothers who feel like, because I've had several friends that really feel like they're not doing enough.
Let me say, can I piggyback on that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you can raise your child, it's your ability.
Yep.
Do everything right by that child. At the end of the day, they got to go out there and do right themselves.
Yep.
And that's something that you can't control, but it's something that you got to trust into. Like I tell you, a lot of people don't know, I have my daughter 5 days a week.
Yep.
And I raise her to the best of my ability. Mm-hmm. And y'all know I'm a sports addict, so don't get mad at me when she starts trying to do stuff like that.
I just like dealing with a chick relationship though. It's not like we deal with a chick relationship and then you find like she go out with friends, you like, I hope that she do it right. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then you talk to that person that they're not available on the weekend all of a sudden, y'all know how that goes.
I mean,
I think my biggest thing
is it's a conscience and a control thing.
But you have to understand your trauma mind and your real mind are two different things. Because my trauma mind will tell me, you're not a good mama. Because of what you went through and because of what you may have exposed your children to, they're not going to listen to what you got to say. Mm-hmm. But my healed mind says, them damn kids know better. And they just trying to play the game. So, but seriously, it's true. Yeah, because in my trauma mind, it was, and I know you got a single mother with 4 children, 3 girls, 1 boy. I'm thankful to not be in jail. Like literally, because
sometimes they'll test your gangsters so bad.
And they collectively do it.
But even where Eric was going to now, like we really think about, I know we speak about even kids and the trauma. A lot of our traumas do trickle on into the relationships that we have, and
with your children.
Not with just children.
Relationships, period. Yes,
it can be friendships.
They do.
Have you ever just stood back and looked like somebody was talking to my daughters, and she has a best friend, and they was just like, y'all be too close together. Are y'all gay? She said no. The fact remains is that my mama is a loyal person. My mama has taught me that when you build alliances with people, you build lifelong alliances. I have 10 best friends in every other state in this country. You know why? Because I was taught that what happened to me, I cannot inflict it on somebody else.
Right.
Yep.
When you said about creating the village that we've been taught has to be the village in your bloodline.
No. Sometimes that village is out. Sometimes that village includes a therapist,
I'm gonna say
pastor.
Yep. I'm gonna say it and I'll say it again. Them people cannot pour into my kids what they didn't get poured into themselves.
Absolutely.
And so therefore we have to create our own vision and alliances so that when we are out or we have people that we're in relationships, they will feel comfortable that they're outside because we're around people who have stable minds or who have gone through things that we can say, hey, when you wanted to crush your car that day, what you did? And be okay with it. Like, we act like that's unheard of. People think like that every day. I have a friend that calls me at least 2 times a week. She says, Trina, I'm here in the garage. Hey, where you at? Where you need me at? Where you at? Because we need to normalize it. That's okay. Once we get there, hey, what happened? What led up to this? Yeah. We got to normalize dealing with our emotions then. Mm-hmm. Because the build up is what's killing us. Right. It ain't even the action. It ain't even what happened. It's because we decided that we're gonna put this shit in the trunk. What happens when you overload a trunk?
Oh, you bust.
Spontaneous combustion out of nowhere from all the sides. But see, that's how I was taught to deal. I wasn't taught to deal with my stuff. I wasn't taught that anything that I had going on was wrong. So the only thing that I knew in my brain from the time I was a little girl, hold it. Just like with the Temptations, hold for music. Hold for music. I'm serious. But anytime that I was explode, anytime that I would go off, because, oh my God, she's so angry. I can't believe she did that.
Let me paint y'all a better picture real quick and you'll think about it. How do you feel when you're in a tight and you have to pee?
Oh my God.
I'm trying to hold it like this.
I'm like, trying to move.
But when you finally get ready to let go, you cannot control. You do know that your body, you can't turn off.
Right.
That is what our body does with emotions that we have. Once we get ready to release just that one, know that straw that broke the camel back. That's that one emotion where you've been in a tight so long. You gotta retrain your mind.
But you have to learn how to deal with it.
Get it. Hey, you hurt my feelings? I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah.
You go. Hey.
I feel like a lot of depression and stuff like that, a lot of all the crazy stuff. It comes from childhood. It comes from childhood. And like kids today, that's how wow.
They go through what they're going through.
Yeah, but like what you're talking about, like you and your child being close, like y'all gay or something like that. Like that's how they think now. So it's like
why plant that seed though?
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to be the cool person. Nobody's trying to have that real conversation.
And these are grown people, older people that make the statement.
But it starts with us.
Yeah. But see, here's the thing. I made it even when I wasn't doing it myself.
But you know, grown folks stupid.
We are.
Girl,
but I wasn't doing it for myself. I made it okay for my children to know that they could go and talk to a therapist. And I still wasn't messing with it because y'all listen, I was raised a certain type of way, you understand? And even though I'm the only child and even though I was always told what I wasn't and who I wasn't, it was always everybody was resting right here. Oh, you ain't this, you can't do that, you can't do that, you not gonna have this. I'm #1 in the state of Illinois running 100-meter high hurdles and you telling me what I can't do? Right. Okay. So I carried that. And so as I got older, hey, everybody drop their shit right here. Just drop it right here. I've been trained to have it. It wasn't until I got to a point I said, I can't carry your stuff and mine. I got so much of my stuff that I got to deal with. I have so much of my stuff going on that I didn't start to heal because one thing about it, as unimportant as I was made to feel, as unworthy I was made to feel, everybody dropped everything they had right here. And then told me, you got it, you gonna be all right. I'm gonna be at your game on Friday. So you can watch me foul out because I'm mad as hell and I'm about to punch this girl in her teeth? Cool, let's do it.
You know what? Let me tell you, you want to know what perception I got from that? Because I always believe in that. I'm going to tell y'all grown people this because it's just me. I changed the narrative because I don't have power. I'm filled with power. Yeah, I'm a little arrogant this go around in my 41st year of life. What I feel is people identify that you are already great. You do know that people that see that you're great, what they trying to do, if they can't be you, they're trying to sabotage you. So we have to, when people start to do that, we got to train people to think like, when somebody talk at you and make you feel, oh, that little job you got, oh, that big job, I got you. We have to change the narrative. We have to have already conditioned in our mind that people that come at you and try and make you feel little, they already see the big you.
But you have to be healed to get that though.
Yeah.
Because I've heard people say that to me, oh honey, the only reason why you went through that is because in my unhealed brain, this is how I hear you saying all that positive stuff and I'm like, whatever, I'm still gonna go home. This nigga gonna knock me upside my head. I'm gonna call and talk to somebody and they're gonna find a way to bring it back to me that it was my fault. Or I have these 4 children and I'm having a bad day because I feel like, you know what I'm saying, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. It's all gonna revert back to me not doing something that I was supposed to do because I wasn't healed. It wasn't until I honestly said, Aisha, you done been through all of this and I'm thinking I'm not broken because I've managed to maintain. But in me managing to maintain and in me managing to keep everything cool and in me managing to let everybody know that I can handle business, I was broken. I used to lay in my bed every night and cry my eyes out. God, why is you doing this to me? You give your strongest battles to your toughest shoulders, but I want to be out your army. I don't want to be in your army. If you're going to do me like this, I don't want to be in your army.
So,
you got it, dog. I don't even want to.
Right, dog. You go ahead.
So as we coast around the corner to what we all are here for, what make you now say, I am better with all the success you got going on?
Because you got it.
You got it. Like, I hear what you're saying and all the stuff you've been through, but I'm looking at your now. What made you be, I am better?
Because you got the juice. You want to know you got the juice.
I had to sit there and take that suitcase, and I had to unpack everything. Like I said, the way that I deal with stuff, I put it up here or I put it so far to the back of my brain, it didn't happen. I had to undeal with that. I had to say, yes, I was molested. Yes, I was this. Yes, this happened to me. Yes, this happened to me. And I had to deal with it. I had to deal with it because the longer I said I'm good, I'm cool, every 3 to 4 months I'm blowing up. Oh, hey, come get your girl. She done ran up on somebody's yard. She trying to stab somebody. She got a pistol out. She done punched old boy. I'm dudes. I didn't want no female, because what is a female gonna do to me? You the same thing I am. I want you, bro. Come here, homie. Let me pop you in your mouth real quick. Let me kick you in, like, dude. Who? Yes.
So
because that's the only way I could get a challenge was fighting a dude. Couldn't no female touch me.
She was a dude of a
Look, you have to be aggressive with me and somebody trying to keep it.
Look, y'all see what I'm doing to her.
She holding me. She
Right.
holding me.
Okay, so
No, but I had to unpack
That's what I was gonna say.
everything that I dealt with, and I had to give it a name.
That's what I was about to
I had
say.
to address it.
What I'm taking,
I had to deal with it.
what I'm taking from you that made you better is that we have to acknowledge and literally go back and definitely
Yes.
unpack what is holding
Yes.
us down.
Yes.
Like, take the brick, like go through a whole demolition situation and
Absolutely.
individually
Rebuild.
take it down.
Yes.
And rebuild.
And
Yes.
sometimes you have to acknowledge it to move past it.
You have to, because every time I'm saying, I'm good, ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm alright. Children come home. I done made their snacks. I'm trying to cook dinner. Oh snap, I ain't got no butter. I done took the whole Frigidaire and knocked it over.
So, this changes up a little bit before we wrap it up. Is there a solution to all of this stuff? Is therapy the solution, or
It's you. Like I said, address.
Or is it based just on you and how you handle it yourself?
It's based on, I know for me, it's a continuous thing because I had to address and then I had to say, go talk to somebody. Now, the first person I went and talked to, I didn't like her. And I told her, I don't even know why you got an office. Why are you even, ma'am, you ain't, whatever.
So you gotta feel comfortable and build a rapport.
And understand that when it comes to therapy, you have that right. No, you have to understand, I'm a black girl from, I'm from the hood.
You gotta be the
I'm from the hood. I come home from this psychiatric hospital. Y'all send me to this middle lily white lady, and she's asking, ma'am, I can't relate to you. I don't feel comfortable. I'm sorry.
Oh, y'all can't.
I feel because I felt more that she was judging me based on. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to go to a therapist who said, "You tripping? Shut up."
Nope.
You wanted somebody that you feel like you can relate to more.
You need that.
I did.
Versus somebody who was judging.
But in doing that and in going to therapy and in doing the exercises that they gave me, I'm better now. You feel me?
We see.
Now for mine, when I began to unload my suitcase and my baggage, I had to be careful that I did not cast that onto people around me. Because I was holding people accountable for stuff that they had nothing to do with. You know, they wasn't with mom when she passed. They you know, they had nothing to do with whatever happened with the car that night or where she had gone prior to that evening. But I didn't care from 21 until about 25-ish. But for that 4 years, it was rough, man. I was hard to deal with. If I dealt with you during that time, I'm sorry. But it's where I was. I'm better now. But here, my solution was my upbringing. It was my father. It was my church. It was my newborn daughter. I had to ground myself, and I had to get back to basics. I didn't listen to rap music for about 3 years. I didn't watch certain movies for about 3-4 years. I cast off sex for about 3-4 years. I know y'all brothers, y'all may leave me like, dude, what was wrong with you? But I promise you, I'm better now.
It sounds like too, you were able to sacrifice a lot of things.
For the betterment of you.
Hey, let me tell y'all, I wasn't gonna make it. The nights that I spent in some of the hotels, I'm telling you, I was not, suicide was never a thing, but I just knew if I didn't get that time to myself, because everybody, you okay? Can I do anything for you? What you gonna do for me? You can't bring her back.
Right.
And in our community, we don't talk about the lasting effects of death. Here I was, 21, and nobody could tell me how to be a man in this condition, in this state, because my father still had his mother.
Right.
I didn't hold it against him, but at the same
still
time,
rough.
you can only counsel me so far.
Yeah.
But my father always pushed me back to my prayer life.
But you know what? This is how you know
Amen.
people go through different things, because death, my mother's death is the only thing that gave me a way out.
Wow.
My mother's death is the only thing that says you're not gonna end up like her. When my mama died, that's the only thing that said
It set you free.
that you did something different than what your mama did. It literally took you losing my mama for me to understand I'm not obligated to walk the same thing she
The
did.
same path.
That is
Right.
You said a mouthful then. We got to understand that even though we have a right to passage through another human being, you have the right to change the path you take. Because I know I haven't spoken on a lot of things that I've gone through. Like a lot of people don't know, I had a son, but it took that, me having to give up. Like when I tell you, I had a dream where God told me to go take this child, it's not yours.
Wow.
And there was a lot of things I was going through that would probably be a part two. But once I understood that if I believe and I could sacrifice, when you was making mention of a lot of stuff, being able to have somebody sit at the end of your bed and you are 6 months pregnant and they tell you, you know you can't have it, baby. And every ultrasound I had, it was saying that it was a girl. I was telling them, no, my child is a boy.
Because you knew.
He's
Because you knew.
redhead and blue-eyed.
Yeah.
I've seen him. He's mine. That man came and sat on the end of my bed. Like, little Jelly was laying in the bed with me and told me you can't have the baby, but you got other people that you gotta save. I want you to understand. I'm gonna take one. You're gonna save 1,000. You ain't gonna understand today.
But
10 years later.
Yeah.
10 years later, I'm gonna give you everything back. He took my child that next day. On the birthday of the child's dad, who was in LEC. When I tell you mountains move, I was able to go down there and walk and tell them they released him with no questions asked on account of a lot of things that I was going through. Y'all, I went and had cancer cells on my uterus and had to went through a treatment of that. At this time, I'm 25.
It's
26.
like whatever at
But
this
God said,
point.
if I take this baby, I'm gonna give you one back. I went through treatment. January came, they checked me. She said, you know you got a baby. I was like, a baby what? Because I ain't did nothing. Y'all told me that
Right.
treatment I couldn't do.
Right.
Yeah, so fast forward. She came. Her due date was like September the 26th. So she was like, I'm gonna take the baby up a day early. I couldn't see this child to save my life. Any other baby, I knew what Jayla looked like before she got here. I knew what Christian looked like. I couldn't see this child. Yeah, I went in to go sign my paper to schedule for my cesarean, which was going to be like in September. She said, you ain't like everybody. Let me check you. I had no doubt at 5 centimeters and this mother was coming out.
Wow.
She was like, hey, counsel the twins that I'm finna deliver. Go ahead and counsel me because she just ain't gonna do right. I went back to work 6 weeks later, was writing down, of course, filling out paperwork because my deceased son birthday is 8/1/06. August 1st, 2006. Filling out paperwork or whatever, I ain't thinking about everything that happened. So I keep saying, hey, why does this number keep coming up? And I'm filling out stuff because we back at work and add on to my insurance. People got that Medicaid because I got to pay for this motherfucker. This last 4 digits of my social security number.
Wow.
When he tell you, you sacrifice and you believe, I don't care what pain you going through. Can't nobody tell you about you but him. Everything that we go through ain't even for us. The lessons, the things that it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But I asked him to
you're gonna help.
use me too.
Use you. Right.
You be
Yeah.
mindful. But that child that was taken, he was never mine to begin with. But you told me on getting back, you would let me know it's written. So yeah, I have a birth certificate and a death certificate with 8/1/06. I have a living child that's breathing. That is her marked number that we know that follows.
Wow. 06.
Wow.
So you can say that you're better because you found peace through God.
I'm actually better because I've learned that my pain can be turned into my strength.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that I can make myself better if I embrace what I go through. Because that is what identifies me, that teaches me. I've learned that when things are happening, it's not happening against me, it's happening to show me that I can be a better me versus it makes me feel like I can be less of me. So I guess, like I said too, with that, it just, we have to be, once you get in the healed mind, you have to figure out how to make it work for you. The baddest thing, the worst thing in life can work to the best of our ability. Jesus died on the cross, that was the worst thing in life. He even saved all our lives, and we still here talking about it today. But that's what made me better.
So what makes you better now?
Uh,
Why are you better now? How?
I'm not gonna say I'm 100% better.
But you're getting there.
Yeah, it's definitely a process. But I'm actually glad I went through the motions that I did though. So I can learn how to deal with that. And if it happens again, obviously in life it's probably gonna happen again. But you'll know how to deal with it next time around versus
not
panicking.
And you gotta deal it.
Yeah, you know you got me, you got Trina, you got Nikim, you got Sheena.
But one thing that's important to know, my village don't work if I don't call y'all.
That's
That's
right.
true.
I was about to
And
say
that's gotta
that.
come
Like,
out of that.
you ain't called me yet.
Because as close as we are,
You ain't called me yet.
I have been through some stuff, and I don't know if it's because I'm an only child or if I'm the type, I like to fight by myself.
That's me.
And I'm learning that I
You
can't
don't have
fight
to.
all these. Okay, I don't have to, but see, at the same time, I got people that say, hey, Ish, handle this for me. Hey, Ish, so-and-so did so-and-so.
Let me say
So
this.
I have become a protector of now myself and everybody else. But sometimes I have to call you, hey, look, come get this dude in the drawer or something. No,
Let me
never.
say this.
Don't never mind. I think they're done that about 3 weeks ago.
Right. Let me say this. Even though you are
Sorry.
a fighter by yourself, and that's cool to be a loner, but I always remember somebody out there, especially, you know, me, I call and you check on me, I check on you. I always remember that you got us that you can call.
That don't
You
judge
know,
you.
that don't judge you.
Don't
But
judge
that's the
you.
one good thing about a
You know.
therapist. She don't know me.
Right.
I don't hang out
There's
with
no
her.
bias.
She and I have no personal connection. So when I'm breaking down in her office and when I'm explaining to her, oh, well, all of this has happened, but I still feel like I'm a piece of dirt on the ground or I'm still battling with this. She don't know me. So she can't have a preconceived
There's
notion.
no bias. Right.
Right?
There's no bias.
And it's easier for me to get through that way. Yeah, because I don't advocate for illegal stuff.
So as a whole, we're gonna wrap this up. As a
It makes me better.
Let Nikima say what makes him better now. And Sheena.
Yes, and Miss Sheena and Mr. Darius, if you
There
will.
it is.
Pastor Darius.
So,
Come on,
Nikima,
Pastor.
what makes you better now?
Well, I'll break it down real quick, right? Because I'm gonna try not to get emotional with some of the stuff that y'all saying. Because I gotta think about I grew up with a single black
That's
mom.
why you got them doors shut.
Listen to the things that y'all talk about, kind of resonates to me a lot. A lot of people know 2000 was a terrible year for me. 2001 was a terrible year. 2002 has been better. 2000 went into the year of bad breakup. Killed me. Lost 2 of my best friends. Lost my granddaddy, my last living grandparent. Lost my oldest uncle. Lost 8 people in that time frame. So you can imagine what my mind is going through.
Right.
So I'm breaking down. So I had to sit back to myself and like, look, because I'm an only child, we do tend to tell her to ourselves, sit to ourselves. So I had to sit back to myself and refocus on myself, relearn myself, and relove myself. And when I was able to do those 3 things, I was able to come out of that funk that I was in and get to a better place in life where I'm at now. I'm not saying I ain't going through stuff now, but I know how to go through those things. You know? So I don't mind being on the phone talking to somebody. And if I need to do it to myself, I'll do it myself. Like she'll tell you, I go ghost for a little while. Where you been having focus a little bit.
Right.
So,
Like, why you ain't heard from me this week?
Or we can get a message. Fam. Call me.
yeah.
Okay. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I feel like it's something I need to talk about, I talk about it. Like we said, we each learn things in different ways. Some people need somebody to talk to. Some people just need time to themselves.
Exactly.
That's a bad thing.
And we have to learn to give people the time too to themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for
It's
some
hard.
folks.
Yeah. It's
You want to be
Yes.
so hands-on.
Yeah.
and,
What you doing? What you doing?
Yes.
You sure you all right? You sure all right?
You know, Darius, they don't help me out when I be in a little phone. I go out there with them, get me a good laughs, some good balls, you know what I'm saying? Laugh. So it's different stuff, man.
What about you?
What about you, Sheena?
I learned that my voice is my therapy.
Absolutely.
My silence is.
Your silence don't do nothing but internalize, and you keep dealing with it. It's like you feed it to yourself. Okay, I'm gonna hold it in. From here, it's gonna go to my head. From my head, it's gonna go to my heart. From my heart, it's gonna, and you keep doing that. Yeah.
It's that overload the elevator you keep talking
Right.
about.
Yeah.
Right.
Let them folk get off.
Right. And I'm learning that no matter what my truth is, can't nobody judge me for my truth.
There
That's
you
right.
go.
Yep.
So there may be times where I'm feeling like, okay, well, Sheena, do you want to work on your marriage? Darius. I just recently had this conversation with Darius, honestly speaking, because I felt like, what did you do? What could you have done differently for your marriage to be better or where you are now? And the answer is nothing.
Right.
Nothing I could have did. Because it takes two.
That's why I'm saying
It's not just
it's
one.
supposed to be what can we.
Right.
Yeah.
But I had to
But when you
understand
can't
it wasn't.
say that, yeah.
I had to understand it wasn't a we because there was a third party
There you go.
that was in my marriage.
Yeah.
So it was never a union of one that came together. It was a union of three.
Yeah.
Not the God three.
No.
That's
Not,
Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
not that
No.
one. It's a different one.
No.
It's
So-
a different one.
This is
I'm
carnival.
so proud of you.
Right.
I still
this
so
is-
letting everybody off the bull sanction. You
So
get out and take
I mean, I had to deal with it. I had a mother-in-law that wasn't
Supportive.
right.
Not
She
in a
say
way
she
should.
Christian,
Yeah.
but she's not Christian.
I feel you.
She could be Christian. She is struggling.
No. Because Christian folks.
She's on her own. She's on her own walk.
It's a
Yeah,
lot of people.
well,
It's a lot
That's
of
a whole different.
Right.
That's a whole
Right.
Right.
That's a
I
whole
would say
different.
it's a lot of people with J's on it. They are authentic. So
You feel me?
you
Right.
can call it what you want to.
Right. But to get back to it though,
You're
I'm learning that my voice is my therapy and don't be ashamed of my walk.
Right.
Yeah.
Because my walk may help somebody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
So
I ain't going like
Inspyard. We double dutching?
Right, that's what jump in, jump out.
So I guess like for me, I'm getting better. I think healing is a daily process.
It is.
It is. And I know there's some days like when me and Trina, I can feel it when something is wrong with Trina. And I would pick up the phone and I would text her and be like, hey man,
What's going on?
What's going on? You good? Whatever. But I think I go back to what Darius said. Prayer is my best friend at this point. I pray every day, even in my mind. I know sometimes people at work be looking at me crazy because I pray out loud. It don't really matter to me. I pray in my car, out my car. I used to think my mama, shout out to my mom, I used to think my mama was crazy because she would go around the house and she would pray. My mother would pray over me. And my mom would pray for protection over me. And I think that is so important, is your prayer life. Because prayer, we used to hear the old folks, those of us who were in church, you heard the old folks say, prayer changes things. Just keep praying.
Is it wrong to say that even when you think that you're praying out loud and you're praying to God, that what you're praying for is not being answered?
No, because the Bible says, and I'm going to quote a scripture, it says, delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. So, and I in essence, I'm very, very into, if that's in your heart, he knows your heart. He knows your mind.
Yeah, but he also, if you know what's in your heart ain't good for you, he ain't gonna let you get it.
But it's not that he's not going to let you get it. It may not be for you right then.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You may be praying for it now, you might not get it now. But guess what?
When it's time for him, so I'll say this.
You know it's needed, when he's gonna give it to you.
When it's time for him for you, because when it's time for him to release it, he gonna release it. And I'll say this: when I was in jail, I kept saying, God, why am I here for so long? People were telling me nobody sits on a failure to appear on a misdemeanor at that for no 14 days. That's usually something you should be able to go and bail right back out.
Right.
And it didn't happen. And so when I called my mama said, you pray about it. And when it's time for him to release you, I had to be there for them 14 days. You don't know the people that I met that I'm still in connection with now. I had to be there for a specific girl. That was my reason. I think I told
I'm not
Trina,
gonna lie to y'all. That used to make me mad.
I think that's what I told Trina when we were riding in the car, because Trina came and picked me up, and I said, "No, I'm good." I cried when I saw her because I was ready. I was upset,
you was ready to come
and
home.
I was ready to come home. But I had to be there for a young girl who had killed her grandparents and put them in the trunk, and she rode around Gwinnett County with them in her trunk. And I had to have a conversation with her. And the conversation that we had was so deep that the guard said nobody is broke through to her like that. This is the first time I seen that girl cry. Because nobody had talked to her like that before.
I used to hate, like I said, I used to hate hearing that. Oh, baby, you know, God only give his toughest battles to his strongest shoulders. Because I used to
God
say,
gives you
like
at
7 and 12 and 13, I said, well, I ain't strong. Hold up, homie. And this is how, God, hold up.
So this is
Bruh.
why you said that you're not better now with rolling. You're still healing.
I'm still healing because even after I got out of jail, my grandmother passed right behind me.
Yeah,
So it's a
process.
lot. It's a process for me, but I'm getting better.
But you have a track for your healing.
So
yes.
Eric, so with everything that we've spoken on today, how do you want to roll back into I am better for Inspyard?
Well,
because we got to have a part 2.
I'm sure it's gonna be a part 2.
Duh.
I hate this.
It's gonna be
We
where you at
We will drop the deuce around here.
But no, this is actually good though, because a lot of people actually need this conversation.
Absolutely.
People don't need this conversation.
We keep it real around here.
But also this song I've been thinking about doing like for a little while. So I was like, because one, you gotta get people around you that actually understands it.
Yes.
And there's no judgment. It's a pretty much safe zone. And that everybody feels okay with sharing it,
Right.
and not feel, I don't know, some type of insecurity or whatever.
Right.
Like, man, I wish I ain't said this.
But see, that's a part of being better. In me being better, I can share everything that I went through and not hold it as, oh, y'all gonna judge me, y'all gonna look at me different. But it's because I am better.
So I was saying, like, the reason why I want to do this because just like for people that actually want to have this conversation, that's scared too, that's why I want to do this podcast.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of followers that, that follow us now, and there's going to be some future ones coming. So when people see this, they're going to see it and know that, okay, it is okay to have these conversations, and that there are people here that's not going to judge it from what you've been through.
Right.
And the stuff you're saying, and have like no crazy reaction just based on, wherever it happened. Because everybody dealt with something crazy. And there's gonna be a lot of stuff that we don't understand, but that's why we have this conversation. So we try to get to a point to get to.
That's why we call it.
Absolutely.
I was gonna ask, are the comments on when you post the videos?
Yeah.
And I would encourage anyone, if you have a question about anything, or you need resources, or you need to get at someone, put those in the comments so we can give a response.
Absolutely.
I come from a mental health background. We've got a ton of resources for you all. Just say something.
Yeah.
We didn't even get into the anxiety, depression. We talked about depression, but not the real.
We didn't get into it
The
together.
pathology behind it. We just go into bipolar, which a lot of people deal with in their relationships. It's a lot of things that we haven't touched. So
It's gonna be in part 2
Okay.
because it's so dynamic.
Before you do that, I just want to also say Inspyard does not promote suicide, violence, substance abuse, anything of that nature. What we're just mentioning is our own personal thing.
Yeah.
So therefore, anything that you are hearing are things that we've dealt with, not anything that we're speaking on or trying to coerce anybody to do.
Right.
We just want you to be a better you.
Be better.
Our experience.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to close it out because we are out of time. But you guys follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I'm your girl, Miss Annalise J. My business partner, Mr.
Eric Holmes.
You know the vibe. Also, I'm going to touch on bases on one more thing before we go. If you need suicide help, please contact the Suicide Awareness Hotline. They do have one out there. Again, send your comments, your chats. If there's something you want us to talk about, darling, then
Drop it in there.
drop it in. Now,
Stay inspired.
Does she need to get in the middle? I think you might be.
catch a head.
Yeah, I'm there. Put on my chest, I'm slinging bullets, call me breath. I put down a rap